Dear viewers, you know that the history is filled with kings, conquerors, warriors, and emperors. But only one name echoes across continents, centuries, and civilizations with almost mythical force. A name that still commands more than 2,000 years later. A name spoken with admiration, fear, and wonder. Before Rome ruled the world. Before Caesar crossed the Rubicon. Before Napoleon dreamed of empire. There was a young king who looked at the edge of the known world and refused to stop. He was not born a god, yet legends say gods walked beside him. He was not destined to rule the world, yet the world bent beneath his feet. At an age when most men are still learning who they are, he was already rewriting history with blood, fire, and vision. This is the story of Alexander the Great, the greatest general the world has ever known. Imagine a boy standing before his father, King Philip II of Macedon, as news arrives of a great victory. Instead of celebrating, the boy feels fear. Fear that there will be nothing left for him to conquer. That boy was Alexander. From his earliest days, he burned with ambition that frightened even kings. He did not want to inherit a kingdom. He wanted to create one so vast it would touch the ends of the earth. And in just 13 years, he would do exactly that, leading an army farther than any before him, defeating enemies who outnumbered him, and shaping the future of East and West forever. Alexander was born in 356 BCE in Pella, the capital of Macedon. His birth itself was wrapped in legend. Ancient writers claim that on the night he was born, the Temple of Artemis, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, burned to the ground, as if the gods themselves were distracted by his arrival. His mother, Olympias, believed Alexander was no ordinary child. She told him that his true father was Zeus, king of the gods, who had visited her in the form of a thunderbolt or a serpent. Whether Alexander believed this literally or used it as a political tool, one thing is certain: he grew up believing he was destined for greatness beyond mortal limits. His father, Philip II, was a brilliant military reformer who turned Macedon from a backward kingdom into a dominant power. Philip built the most disciplined army in Greece, introducing the long sarissa spear and transforming infantry warfare forever. Alexander grew up watching his father train soldiers, plan campaigns, and crush enemies. War was not something Alexander learned later in life, it was the language of his childhood. But while Philip shaped his body and tactics, it was Alexander's mind that would set him apart from every other general in history. To educate his son, Philip chose the greatest philosopher of the ancient world, Aristotle. Under Aristotle's guidance, Alexander studied philosophy, science, medicine, literature, and ethics. He read Homer's Iliad obsessively, carrying a copy with him on campaign, annotated by Aristotle himself. Achilles became his hero, his model, his obsession. Alexander did not just want victory, he wanted immortal glory. He wanted his name to live forever, sung by poets and remembered by all mankind. When Alexander was just 16, Philip left him in charge of Macedon while he campaigned abroad. Almost immediately, a rebellion broke out. Alexander crushed it without hesitation, founding a city named Alexandropolis in his own honor. It was a warning to the world: this was no child king. This was a leader forged in fire. By the time Philip was assassinated in 336 BCE, Alexander was only 20 years old, and surrounded by enemies who believed his youth made him weak. They were wrong. Within months, Alexander eliminated all rivals, secured his throne, and marched south into Greece. When the city of Thebes rebelled, Alexander responded with terrifying speed and brutality. The city was destroyed. Thousands were killed or enslaved. Only temples and the house of a poet were spared. Greece watched in silence. The message was clear: oppose Alexander, and you cease to exist. With Greece subdued, Alexander turned his gaze eastward, to the greatest empire the world had ever known. The Persian Empire stretched from Egypt to India, ruled by King Darius III, commanding vast wealth and enormous armies. No Greek had ever truly conquered Persia. Many had tried. All had failed. Alexander crossed into Asia in 334 BCE with around 40,000 men, a tiny force compared to Persia's resources. But what Alexander lacked in numbers, he made up for in speed, strategy, leadership, and sheer audacity. At the Battle of the Granicus River, Alexander personally led a cavalry charge into the heart of the Persian army. He was nearly killed. An enemy axe smashed his helmet. Only the quick action of a companion saved his life. From that moment on, his soldiers believed he was invincible. He did not command from the rear, he fought at the front, bled with his men, and shared their hardships. That bond would carry him across continents. The victories came one after another. At Issus, Alexander faced Darius himself. Despite being heavily outnumbered, Alexander shattered the Persian line and sent Darius fleeing the battlefield, abandoning his family and royal treasures. Alexander treated Darius's captured family with respect, a move that shocked the ancient world and earned him loyalty even among enemies. He was not just a conqueror, he was a ruler who understood power. City after city fell. Tyre, a mighty island fortress, resisted him for 7 months. Alexander responded by building a massive causeway across the sea to reach its walls. When Tyre finally fell, it was a demonstration of Alexander's will. No obstacle, land, sea, or sky, could stop him. He marched into Egypt, where he was welcomed as a liberator. The Egyptians crowned him pharaoh. He founded Alexandria, a city that would become one of the greatest centers of learning and culture in history. Then came the decisive moment. In 331 BCE, at the Battle of Gaugamela, Alexander faced Darius for the final time. The Persian army dwarfed his own, with war elephants, chariots, and tens of thousands of troops. But Alexander saw what others did not, a weakness. With a perfectly timed maneuver, he punched through the Persian center, forcing Darius to flee once again. The Persian Empire collapsed. Babylon, Susa, Persepolis, all fell into Alexander's hands. Persepolis, the ceremonial heart of Persia, was burned. Whether in drunken revenge or symbolic conquest remains debated. But the message was unmistakable: a new master of Asia had arrived. Yet Alexander did not stop. Conquest was not enough. He sought unity. He adopted Persian dress, encouraged intermarriage between his soldiers and local women, and attempted to fuse Greek and Eastern cultures into one empire. Many of his Macedonian companions resisted these changes, seeing them as betrayal. Alexander saw them as necessity. He was no longer a king of Macedon. He was king of the world. His campaigns grew harsher as he pushed into Central Asia and India. The terrain was brutal. The enemies fierce. Alexander was wounded multiple times, arrows through his body, blows to his head, injuries that would kill ordinary men. Still, he marched on. In India, at the Battle of the Hydaspes River, he faced King Porus, who fought with war elephants. Alexander won, but at great cost. His men, exhausted and homesick after years of war, finally refused to go farther. For the first time in his life, Alexander was forced to turn back. The journey home was a nightmare. Crossing the Gadrosian Desert, thousands died from heat, thirst, and starvation. Alexander suffered alongside his soldiers, refusing water when his men had none. He was still driven by vision, but his body was breaking. By the time he returned to Babylon in 323 BCE, Alexander was only 32 years old, and ruling the largest empire the world had ever seen. Then suddenly, he fell ill. Fever, weakness, silence. Within days, the man who had conquered the world was dead. No clear heir. No final command. When asked who should inherit his empire, he reportedly whispered, "To the strongest." Chaos followed. His empire fractured, but his legacy endured. Alexander the Great was more than a conqueror. He was a strategist without equal, a leader who inspired unmatched loyalty, a visionary who reshaped the ancient world. He changed warfare forever, proving that speed, intelligence, and leadership could defeat overwhelming numbers. He spread Greek culture across 3 continents, laying the foundations of the Hellenistic world, a fusion of East and West that shaped science, philosophy, art, and politics for centuries. Even his enemies admired him. Roman generals studied him. Caesar wept because Alexander had conquered the world at an age when Caesar had achieved nothing. Napoleon carried books about him. To this day, military academies analyze his battles. His name has never faded. Alexander did not just live history, he became it. In just 13 years, he carved his story into the spine of civilization. He lived fast, conquered relentlessly, dreamed impossibly, and died young. But his shadow still stretches across the world. Empires rise and fall. Names are forgotten. But Alexander the Great remains eternal.